say lubrication then.
Margot.
Be quiet, Jerry.
Made immortal as Margot, Dame Penelope Keith, loved for her roles in The Good Life and To the Manor Born, has died aged 86. Dame Penelope Keith, best known for her sitcoms The Good Life and To the Manor Born, has died aged 86. She had been living with cancer, and her family say she died peacefully at the home she'd lived in for 50 years. Our media and arts correspondent David Silito takes a look back at her life and the roles that helped Britain laugh at itself.
The ooh-ah bird is so called because it lays square eggs.
On any list of most loved TV comedy characters over the last 50 years, Margot is surely near the top.
I don't understand.
Well, just who do you think you are, Mrs. Ledbetter?
I am the silent majority.
Penelope Keith took the snobby,
Don't bleed in the sink, I just can't.
humorless neighbour of Tom and Barbara and made her one of TV's funniest and most lovable characters.
Have you so much as sniggers? I'm going straight back indoors.
But it had taken a while to get to this point. Born in Surrey, her mother had, after boarding school, sent her to acting school, but there wasn't a lot of encouragement.
I was fairly plain looking, really, and tall, which was just a burden I carried with me from a very early age. And they'd say, of course, well, you know, yes, you'll be right, but you won't come into your own till you're 40.
One early appearance was an all-action role in The Avengers, and she soon became a regular face on TV.
Tom,
But her springboard to fame
Tom, you are sitting here.
was an Alan Ayckbourn stage comedy. There was more than a touch of Margot here. And both she and her co-star, Felicity Kendall, were offered parts in The Good Life, although at the beginning it wasn't a big role.
I didn't even notice that I only had one line in the very first episode.
What is it? What's going on?
It's the goods. They're dancing their ghosts.
The writers soon realised, give Margot a line, and Penelope Keith would give you a laugh.
You stupid man.
Talk to me like that.
I can because I pay your wages, and get off my carpet.
And then came To the Manor Born.
We've been here through wars, plagues, floods, famine, and Labour governments.
And while her acting school had never thought of her as a romantic lead, that's what she became in a TV comedy that broke viewing records. Nearly 24 million at its peak. That and a starring role in a Morecambe and Wise Christmas special said it all. She was comedy royalty.
Please tell me why it's funny.
And more than 40 years on, The Good Life was still being shown, and Penelope Keith
Please.
was still making us laugh.
Dame Penelope Keith, who's died at the age of 86.
Next, tributes have been paid to the actress Dame Penelope Keith following her death, aged 86. Her family said today she died peacefully whilst living with cancer at home. She was best known for her roles in the 1970s sitcoms The Good Life and To the Manor Born. But her career began and ended on stage. Working in television, she once said, was simply the icing on the cake. Her co-star Felicity Kendall said she was a joy to know and work with. Our arts editor Nina Nana looks back on her life.
Have you so much as sniggers? I'm going straight back indoors.
She played a social climbing suburban snob who'd often get her comeuppance but still lauded it over everyone.
Of course, it's Barbara I feel so terribly sorry for in all this.
Who's Barbara?
Oh, Tom Good's wife, a lovely girl.
Oh, yes, lovely, but pathetic.
You couldn't imagine anyone else inhabiting the role of Margot Ledbetter in The Good Life. It made Penelope Keith a star, her clipped tones and aristocratic demeanour in demand during the 70s, regarded as a golden era for British sitcoms.
Marjorie, you must learn not to confuse money with breeding. He's got the money, I've got the breeding.
The Bradmans weren't here last night, were they?
No.
Quickly, my crystal.
Yet for all her BAFTA-winning success on TV, it was on stage where Penelope Keith spent much of her acting career.
Actors of my generation were trained for the theatre. I mean, television was a nice bonus. and the icing on the cake. But that's what we were really trained for, and I suppose that's where we feel most at home and most in command.
I'm the bear, with brown, fuzzy hair. Her distinctive voice was used on numerous TV ads and brought her younger viewers on the children's show Teletubbies. Amongst her awards and honours, she became a dame in 2014 for services to the arts and charity.
Get it, don't be ridiculous.
But most will remember Penelope Keith as one of the most iconic and best-loved characters in British TV history.
Remembering the life and work of Dame Penelope Keith, who has died aged 86.
So,
Do what the fuck you want to get!
to get down to cruiserweight division. He must have lost a good 20 kilos, weighed in at 92 kegs. That's 5 kilos shy of old mate Kritsana Bunison. That dude clearly didn't use the Google before he agreed to go on the card. If he had, I don't think he...
I checked the sticker. They're brand new. All of them are going to Bernard.
If you're playing authority, there's no better place to play it from than a great height.
No, I was just telephoning to find out whether I could have my car today. Oh, Tuesday.
But what do you mean Tuesday? Be quiet. I don't care if the spare parts come from Mars. Go and collect them. A bottleneck in the lube bay. What does that mean in English? We'll say lubrication then.
Margot.
Be quiet, Jerry. All right, go and look at your wretched worksheet. No, you may not tinkle me back. I'll hold on.
Yeah, but don't interrupt Margot just now. She's in full flow.
Quite often when people said, "And what are you going to do when you leave school?" I'm going to be an actress. Oh, will you find a leading man tall enough?
I want a man
Oh,
as
but nobody's
strong as a
watching.
lion, extremely
If you wanna know who
handsome,
you really
and as
are,
wise as Solomon.
Be on your own. Go
Lucky
somewhere
we
on your
met.
own. That's who
Penelope
you
Keith
are. If
has
you're
been
driving
on our
along
screens for the
and you
past
throw
4
the soda can
decades,
out of the window of
playing
the
some
car,
of our most
that's
loved
who you really
sitcom
are.
characters.
No one does
From
that
the
with kids in the
inimitable
bag.
Margot to the redoubtable Audrey.
Monster. But if you do that, if that's who you, it's interesting to kind of note that. You know, it's the difference between character and
Born
reputation.
Penelope Hatfield in
You know, you
Sutton
really
during
know
the
who
war.
you are.
She was brought
Reputation
up
is
in
like everyone
Clapham by
else
her
thinks
mother and
about you.
grandparents.
You know who you are in yourself.
As her mother was often away working, Penelope was
We
sent to
are who
boarding
we
school.
are when nobody's watching.
I was
If you wanna know
incredibly
who
close
you
to my
really-
mother, but I realise now I didn't see that much of her. So the enormous influence, I suppose, was my boarding school, really. When my mother sent me, first of all, I was 6. And people said, "Oh, gosh, don't send poor Penny to boarding school that young." And when I got there, I adored it. It was a very, very happy time. And they encouraged performing. We always had school plays and events. I took the lead in those.
At 17, Penelope joined the Webber Douglas Drama School, and although an outstanding student, was left in no doubt of her limitations.
I was fairly plain looking, really, and tall, which was just a burden I carried with me from a very early age. And they'd say, of course, well, you know, yes, you'll be right, but you won't come into your own till you're 40.
Despite this prediction, Penelope quickly established herself as an actress, appearing in Rep, doing a season of the Royal Shakespeare Company, and making her first break into television.
My first, what I would call reasonable part on television, I was asked to be in the Army Game.
400 trillion to 1. Those are the odds of becoming a human being. And then I have to live my life every day on the internet, in my inbox, through the streets, people complaining. What the fuck are you complaining about when you've only got one life and you actually got one? You are more likely to win the lotto 10 times in your life than actually having one. So can we please
I went into
make
a pub
this
afterwards and I
video
had this
the
dreadful
moment?
delayed reaction. I just passed clean out.
And I hope you both have all the happiness in the world.
I got a small part in The Avengers. I was a young character actress. At that time, I didn't get locked into anything. It was wonderful.
In the 60s, stunt action became a regular feature of popular television, but finding a stunt double for Penelope was not always easy.
I remember having the stunt double in a film I made for Ned Sherrin called Every Home Should Have One, with that great comedian called Marty Feldman. And I played a very butch nanny. And my first entrance was top to toe in black leather on a motorbike. And sadly, I couldn't ride a motorbike. So I was introduced to my stunt double, who was a rather tall, plain-looking chap. So I got the picture.
It was Thunder's casting director who suggested her for Every Home Should Have One. It was a curious part as a sort of militant German motorcycling lesbian.
You must forgive Richard. He thinks you're from Mars. No, Hamburg.
And I hadn't immediately seen her in the role. I had seen her in the theatre. She was wonderful as Marcia in The Seagull. And I'd seen her also at Greenwich in the House of Bernarda Alba. But none of them prepared one really for a leather-clad lesbian.
I'd done a part in Hadley, which Gerald Harper was starring in. It was a terribly, wildly successful series.
I'm alone. Time to think things were wondering. I know I feel you have been frozen for so long.
And that was when I think I was first seen at Yorkshire Television.
I think the psychiatrist is rather dishy. They always have sort of penetrating eyes, don't they? One look and you start bearing your soul.
Peter Rogers was producer, and he produced a series called Kate with Phyllis Calvert, and he cast me as a newspaper editor in that.
Visual record of my reign. Me being editor.
And I played a character called Wenda Padbury. And I remember Peter saying to me, she's not very nice. There was an article once, I remember in the TV Times, saying Penelope, the woman you love to hate. And at one point, another cutting, I remember, that I'd taken over from Ina Sharples as the hate figure in the country. Frau Svensson intends to sue you for libel. If you are pregnant, then someone is responsible, not Frau Svensson. We can find out who, Miss Randall, and it won't be very pleasant.
There's no one else?
There isn't, you know it. I suggest you speak to the man, if you know who it is, and then write a nice letter. I think this one will do very well if you care to just sign it.
In 1974, while enjoying huge success in Ayckbourn's The Norman Conquests, Penelope was offered a part which was to make her a household name.
Richard Briers had since told me, had been sent a script of another television series that he should do a situation comedy called The Good Life. And he came to see it because he'd played in lots of Alan Ayckbourn, and saw Felicity Kendall and I, and thought that we would fit in rather well with the Good Life cast.
Alan Ayckbourn accused me of casting plagiarism, and I suppose in a sense it's true, because he'd used in his plays all the actors that I wanted to use in The Good Life.
started, episode 1, Margot was actually only a voiceover. She was never even seen. And the writers had written it primarily for Felicity and myself.
What is it? What's going on?
It's the ghosts. They're dancing their goldfish pond. I hadn't thought about it. Why?
Stop celebrating!
Your birthday was yesterday.
No! We're celebrating because we found out how to beat it!
Did you say? Look, if you're so damned interested, Margot, why don't you get out of bed yourself and have a look?
Penny's part grew and grew in stature because she took a very firm grip on the character from the outset.
Who our bird is...
Come pull a sheet over my eye so I can sleep till you can look a hurricane right in the eye. 1200 P.
400 trillion to 1. Those are the odds of becoming a human being. And then I have to live my life every day on the internet, in my inbox, through the streets of people complaining. The fuck are you complaining about when you've only got one life and you actually got one? You are more likely to win the lotto 10 times in your life than actually having one. So can we please make this video the moment when you decide to stop dwelling, stop crying. Don't tell me how you blew your knee out in high school. Don't tell me that your dad was an alcoholic. It is time to take control. What are you gonna see sitting at 80, 90 years old in a retirement home, regretting all the things you didn't do? Please, take life by the throat before it takes your throat and go out and execute. Everything that happened has happened. No more dwelling, no more complaining. The only people that are listening to you are other loser friends. So right now, wrap your head around this ridiculous gift that you were given. It's called life. You're using your fucking eyes to watch this and your ears to listen. Go step out and do your thing. The one thing you've always wanted to do, or the 10, 50, 100 things you've always tried to do. Because the only thing that's keeping you back is the other people that are judging you. And who gives a fuck about them?
Because it lays square eggs. I don't understand.
It was an amazing relationship. There was this terribly kindly man who put up with this dragon of a lady.
The male animal has a lot to answer for.
What have I done now?
All of you. Down through the ages, and it's the woman who always suffers. You drag her along behind you like a mere thing, an object, a chattel. Don't interrupt, Jerry. Just put that hi-fi equipment away and make the coffee.
Anything you say?
He gave as good as he got. And Paul, again, being a brilliant actor, could fill that in so he wasn't just a henpecked, weak man. Whenever she sort of popped out, he would immediately get a takeaway curry.
Now, your dinner.
That's right. I've got some Indian takeaway.
Then will you kindly eat it in the kitchen with the extractor fan full on? The last time, this upholstery reeked of Vindaloo for a week. Night, Jerry.
Right.
And she used to stalk out, and he would just sort of wave the takeaway thing and go and blow the terrible curry odour around this pristine lounge of hers.
Jerry?
It was a bit like the way that the Archers public are fascinated by Linda Snell. They begin by being irritated, but then the character becomes so monstrous that you can't help warming to it and wanting it to go farther.
Overture for beginners, you ghastly little child!
She was a vulnerable character, but she also said things which perhaps a lot of people would like to have said but never did.
Road cleaning, I shall pay. Street lighting, I shall pay. Ground rent, I shall pay. But when it comes to the drain in front of my house, I shall not. because it is blocked up and overflowing.
I'll make a note of that.
You will do more than that, Mr. Squires. You will have a plumber on my doorstep at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning with a plunger in his hand, or you will not get a penny.
Now, just who do you think you are, Mrs. Ledbetter?
I am the silent majority.
She was that wonderful mixture of an English nanny, the occasional Prime Minister, and Barbara Woodhouse, coupled with a little tinge of sexiness, which he was totally unaware of.
Oh, Tom, you're very manful at times.
And you are very womanful. Penelope Keith as Margot, I think, will go down in the Hall of Fame of sitcom for a very long time. In fact, I think possibly Margot will be remembered forever.
Why don't you just throw a bucket of mud on the floor?
Look, I have just cut my finger clipping your blasted hedge.
Don't swear, Jerry. And don't bleed in the sink. I just cleaned it.
For her performance in BBC Television's The Good Life, and for Donkey's years at the Globe Theatre, the Variety Club's Show Business Personality Awards goes to
I am
Penelope
struggling
Keith.
to differentiate the difference
1977 was an
between
extraordinary year. I was lucky enough to win a prize or two.
the KKK
It was also Jubilee
as a
year.
fraternity
And suddenly we had galas
police.
every Sunday. And I was asked to go
I'd
to
love to
Chichester.
know your opinion. I'll leave it with
And I
you,
remember
Mum.
walking down the stairs
Yellow.
and seeing this terribly attractive man and thinking, gosh. And I smiled
Yeah,
and said
Mum.
hello.
I am
and
struggling
walked in
to
and I thought, I wonder if he's
differentiate the
part of
difference
company this year.
between
That'll be
the
interesting.
KKK
Went into my
as
dressing
a fraternity
And this man followed
and
me.
the police.
And came into the dressing room as though he owned the place. I thought he must be part of the company.
I'd love
Probably
to
runs the joint. But he turned out to
know
be a
your
detective.
opinion. I'll leave it with
And
you,
he
Mum.
was there as part
Yellow.
of the royal duty. And that
Yeah,
was my
Mum.
future husband.
I am
Isn't it
struggling to differentiate the difference between the
Then
KKK
the final,
as a
the icing on the
fraternity
cake, or
and
the silver
the
and gold
police.
balls on top of the icing on the cake, was to be asked to do the Morecambe and
I'd
Wise
love to
Whisperer.
know your opinion. I'll leave
I
it
was
with you, Mum.
so thrilled.
Yellow.
I don't think I slept for weeks.
Yeah, Mum. I am struggling to differentiate the difference between the
Eric said to me, he
KKK
said, "Now,
as a fraternity
you're known for your dignity and your
the
poise.
police.
Well, we're going to get rid of all that." I got hysterical, and in actual
I'd love
fact,
to know your
when I
opinion.
look at that,
I'll leave it
I
with
was
you, Mum.
laughing so much.
Yellow.
I had to turn my head away from the camera. It was a wonderful time.
Yeah, Mum. I am struggling to differentiate the difference between the KKK